Hi, my name's Colleen Spring. My first introduction to History Day came in the 1990s when I saw my 16-year-old niece compete in the Hawaii State competition in a performance on Rosie the Riveter. I was riveted by the energy, humor, music, and dramatic presence of these student historians, and I have been hooked ever since. Participating in a History Day performance is an amazing learning experience. Each of my own 5 children participated in at least one National History Day performance, and since 2005, many of my students have chosen this category as well. The performance category has always been my first love and my favorite category, which is why I've been asked to lead this webinar this afternoon. Some of you are here because you've decided to do a performance this year. I am very excited for you. Every student who chooses to throw their heart into History Day will have a life-changing experience. You will choose topics that you'll become passionate about, learn how to conduct wide research, embrace complexity and contradictions in perceptions about historical events, and you'll also get to learn how to write compelling narratives, interlacing primary source accounts and analysis. All of the entry categories have their advantages and their challenges, and each offers unique learning opportunities. The performance category requires 2 very challenging and ultimately rewarding steps. You will learn how to write a script with a narrative curve and climax, and then you will get to learn how to interpret historical people and events by becoming the embodiment of complex historical actors who have changed history for 10 extraordinary minutes. In accomplishing this challenging task, you will gain an exquisitely high level of historical understanding. It will change you in powerful ways. I've seen very shy students lose themselves in new characters and master the art of performance and become very articulate and confident students. I've invited 2 of my recent students to share with you why they chose the performance category, some of their challenges, and how they met those challenges. Keilani Kachiyama Tinkham competed last year as a youth with an individual performance titled Korematsu's Journey Against Xenophobia and Japanese Internment.
One of the reasons why I wanted to do a performance was because I knew my auntie and my mom had both done performances, and I love acting and creating scripts and all that, so I decided I should try it.
She placed first in the youth performance category at States. Eden Smith competed in a group performance titled How Swimwear Paved the Way for Women's Rights. Her team also placed first at States and then placed third at the national competition.
Doing a performance is really cool because I watched the 6th graders do it when I was in 5th grade competing in History Day, and I thought it was a really interesting way to bring history to life.
Armin Needles will also join us in our discussion after this short video. He participated as a senior in an individual performance and competed at nationals. He can tell you more about his performance when he joins us in our Q&A session after this presentation. All of these students transformed their performances into virtual entries and will explain to you some of the challenges and successes this requirement brought due to COVID-19 and NHD going virtual.
It was really hard for me because you had to transform all your dialogue and put it into this document where you had to put your characters, the scene, every piece of dialogue. You had to put pictures, you had to put every single part of your performance in. You had to put speech notes, and it was difficult. But once you start practicing, it got so much better, and it was easier for me because practice makes perfect. So it was really hard to compete virtually, but it felt rewarding anyway. It was sometimes hard to communicate and do all that stuff, especially in the performance. But it worked out, and it was really fun anyway and really rewarding in the end. Even though we didn't get to go to Washington, it was super cool to just have it held virtually, and I was really glad it was still held.
I have 3 tips for writing a script. This is an additional step to what is required of students in all the other categories, where students can essentially use their essay to present their thesis. Writing a script requires the development of characters, dialogue, narrative tension, and a climax, and sometimes a resolution of that climax. Number 1, use as many primary source quotes as possible. In order to represent historical characters accurately, it's most effective to use their exact words. In this way, this task is like all the other categories. Look for poignant quotes that support your thesis. You don't want historical characters to sound like 21st century students, so do not feel you have to create lines for them to speak. Let them use their own words. Number 2, think of compelling framed narrators that can interject your analysis into your performance. Take your script to a higher level by creating dramatic tension for your narrators that mirrors the historical tension that is embedded in your thesis. One group I worked with lately created frame narrators who were college students attending the latest Star Wars movie premiere, dressed in costume, of course. They argued about whether the franchise continues to break barriers and suggested Star Wars has historically underrepresented women and minorities, but is gaining important ground in this respect. Number 3, look for a topic that has emotional heft. Some topics are better suited to the different History Day categories. The best topics for performances focus on individuals who have compelling stories to tell and who have experienced dramatic obstacles and conflicts. Last year, students were not provided the opportunity to perform their entries at the state or national level due to the dangers of working in teams face-to-face. Rather, students submitted their scripts with photos displaying their costumes, sets, and staging, and descriptions of their action and scene development. This year, students will be allowed to submit a video recording of their performance. They will not be required to submit their scripts. Here is a sample of the worksheet that you'll be submitting with information relevant to your project. I have 3 suggestions for creating your performance once your script is written. First, speak to a drama teacher or experienced actor. Ask for tips to how to use your voice effectively to represent contrasting characters. Learn where to focus your gaze and how to transition into new characters without losing time or dramatic tension. 2, don't memorize your script too early. You will make many changes along the way. It is very difficult to time a dramatic performance because there are many factors in the length which vary each time you perform. Read your script out loud and in character, and reduce lines that take too long to articulate. Use ellipses in your script. This is a perfectly appropriate way to shorten primary source quotes. When you can read your script with an appropriate pace and within the 10-minute time limit, then you should start memorizing. It's very difficult to change the script once you have memorized it. It can be done, but it takes as many repetitions as you have articulated with earlier versions. And finally, 3, if there are documentaries depicting your historical actors, watch these many times so that you can duplicate some of the energy and personal style of these individuals. Learning how to represent their vocal cues, facial expressions, and other idiosyncrasies is one of the most fun elements of acting, and it is a powerful tool for presenting a strong and well-supported thesis and gaining a deep understanding of these historical individuals' impact on history. If these are not available, read all that you can about the individuals and learn how they spoke and reacted to those around them. Lose yourselves in these individuals' lives, and you will forget your nerves and have a wonderful time on stage. I'm looking forward to answering any of your specific questions about this wonderful category, as are the student experts who are here today to answer questions based on their first-hand experience. Thank you.
Doing a performance to me was really special and it was a great experience. I highly recommend you do a performance. It was a really fun and engaging experience for me. You get to do so many different things you never really thought you'd do before, and it was really fun.